The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, a colossal hydroelectric project on the Blue Nile, has become a focal point of regional tension, particularly for Egypt. For centuries, the Nile River has been the lifeline of Egypt, a desert nation that relies on the river for nearly all its water needs. Ethiopia's construction of the GERD, which began in 2011, has raised significant concerns in Egypt about the potential impacts on its water supply, agriculture, and overall economy. Egypt's fears are rooted in its dependence on the Nile for both agricultural and domestic water use. The country, with its large population and arid climate, is one of the most water-stressed in the world. Almost 95% of its water comes from the Nile, and any reduction in the river's flow could have severe implications for food security, public health, and economic stability. The GERD, upon completion, will be Africa's largest hydroelectric power plant, providing a significant boost to Ethiopia's economy and electrification efforts. However, the process of filling the dam's reservoir, which can hold 74 billion cubic meters of water, poses a direct threat to the downstream flow of the Nile. Egypt fears that a rapid filling of the dam could significantly reduce the amount of water it receives, especially during periods of drought. Historical treaties have complicated the situation further. Agreements from 1929 and 1959, which granted Egypt and Sudan the majority rights to Nile waters and veto power over upstream projects, have been a point of contention. Ethiopia, not a party to these treaties, sees the GERD as a matter of national sovereignty and has proceeded with construction despite Egyptian objections. The lack of a binding agreement on the filling and operation of the GERD is a major concern for Egypt. Negotiations among Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan have been ongoing for years but have failed to produce a consensus. Egypt seeks guarantees on the minimum flow of water it will receive, especially during drought periods, but these have not been forthcoming. Climate change adds another layer of complexity to the issue. With changing weather patterns and increasing droughts, the reliance on the Nile's water becomes even more critical for Egypt. The uncertainty about future water availability makes the GERD's impact potentially more severe. Egypt's concerns are not just about water quantity, but also about water quality. The reduction in water flow could lead to increased salinity in the Nile Delta, affecting agriculture and freshwater sources. This delta, a critical agricultural area, is already facing numerous challenges, including sea level rise and soil erosion. The potential for political and military conflict over the Nile waters has been a subject of concern in international circles. While both Egypt and Ethiopia have stated their intention to avoid conflict, the persistence of the dispute raises the risk of escalation, especially if water flows are significantly impacted. Egypt's economy, heavily reliant on agriculture, is particularly vulnerable to changes in the Nile's flow. The agricultural sector, employing a significant portion of the population, depends on the predictable flooding of the Nile for irrigation. Any alteration in this pattern could lead to crop failures and economic hardships for millions of Egyptians. The situation is exacerbated by Egypt's rapidly growing population, which increases the demand for water. The country's population is expected to reach 150 million by 2050, intensifying the pressure on already limited water resources. This demographic trend makes the efficient and reliable management of Nile waters even more critical. Egypt's historical identity and cultural connection to the Nile also play a role in its concerns over the GERD. The Nile is deeply embedded in Egypt's national consciousness, seen as an essential part of its heritage and identity. The threat to its control over the Nile waters is perceived not just as an economic or environmental issue, but as the challenge to its historical and cultural legacy. The GERD project also raises concerns about the long-term sedimentation and nutrient flow in the Nile. Sediments that traditionally fertilize the Nile Delta could be trapped behind the dam, affecting agricultural productivity downstream. This change could have lasting impacts on Egypt's agricultural landscape and food production capabilities. Egypt's diplomatic efforts to resolve the GERD issue reflect its grave concerns. The country has sought international mediation and taken its case to the United Nations Security Council, emphasizing the potential for the dam to threaten its water security and urging for a legally binding agreement on its operation. The GERD dispute has also affected Egypt's foreign relations and regional alliances. Egypt has been seeking to strengthen ties with other Nile Basin countries and beyond, to garner support for its stance on the dam. This diplomatic balancing act is crucial for Egypt, as it navigates the complex geopolitics of the Nile waters. The potential impact of the GERD on Egypt's electricity generation and water treatment facilities is another concern. A reduced flow of the Nile could affect the efficiency of hydroelectric plants and water treatment facilities, leading to power shortages and challenges in providing clean water to the population. The GERD issue is also intertwined with broader regional security concerns. The Horn of Africa is already a volatile region, and the added stress of a dispute over vital water resources could have far-reaching implications for regional stability and security. In summary, Egypt's apprehensions regarding the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam are multifaceted, encompassing economic, environmental, political, and cultural dimensions. The situation underscores the complex interdependencies that exist within transboundary water resources management and highlights the need for cooperative and sustainable solutions. Egypt's future, inextricably linked to the Nile, faces a period of uncertainty as the GERD nears completion. The resolution of this dispute will require careful negotiation, compromise, and a commitment to regional cooperation and sustainable water management. As the situation evolves, the international community remains watchful, understanding that the outcome of this dispute will have significant implications not only for Egypt and Ethiopia, but for the entire Nile Basin region. Thanks for watching Middle East Info. Make sure you like and subscribe for more intriguing content on this fascinating region.